Welcome to Cohen in the City, Suburban On Air. And today it's time to talk about CHW Montreal. Now, when I was growing up, it was Canadian Hadassah Witso, but it's been used by the acronym for many years right now. Joining me is Alanna Elias, who's the coordinator of CHW in Montreal, Susan Bercovitch, who's the program chair, and all the way from Israel, author Julie Zuckerman, who's going to be doing a virtual webinar coming up in the next few weeks. So very excited to have you all with us. Alanna, for someone who's tuning in and is not familiar with what CHW does, can you give us a very quick response to that?
For sure. So it's a fundraising organization, and we raise funds for children, healthcare, and women in Israel, and also we do some fundraising work for Canada. So we raise money for daycare centers, schools, hospitals, and locally we do Canadian Young Judea. And then each center typically chooses a pet project that they allocate some funds to as well. So the past couple of years through our golf tournament, we've been fundraising for a bereavement summer camp program. And so we run various fundraising programs and direct mail campaigns, that type of thing, to raise funds for our projects.
When did you change the name to CHW? I'm trying to remember, or the identity, the branding.
Yeah, so I would say about 10 or 12 years ago, we went with an acronym. I guess that was when everyone was going with an acronym, right? CIBC, BMO, whatever it might be, right? We jumped on the bandwagon as well.
Okay, makes sense. So yeah. Susan, I wanted to ask you, we're going to talk a little bit later about the program coming up, but in general, how has CHW pivoted towards the pandemic? What kind of type of programming have you been doing since the spring?
I think, like every organization, we're trying to stay visible, meet our deadlines, and raise our funds. And we've been doing a lot of activities that are virtual. We've done Mahjong tournaments. We're having another one coming up. We have done lecture series. We have done book reviews, and we have been successful with it. We did a live cooking demonstration. Anything that we think will keep people busy and occupied and their mind off the pandemic since they're stuck at home.
Sounds great. And we now go back to Israel with Julie. Julie, February 22nd, you will not be here in person, but you'll be online to discuss your debut novel, The Book of Jeremiah. What's that book all about?
The Book of Jeremiah, here it is. It's a it's a novel in stories. There's 13 stories that cover the life of Jeremiah Gersler, who is a son, a father, a husband, a professor, and the son of Jewish immigrants, and really spans the Jewish experience in the 20th century. The stories go back and forth over time. It's not told chronologically, but all taken together, it kind of forms the portrait of a life and how should we live? It's the kind of that's the central question that goes through the book.
Oh, it sounds very interesting. Susan, I want to ask you about travel. Of course, we're not able to travel now, and we shouldn't be traveling if you listen to Premier Legault and probably Prime Minister Netanyahu and Justin Trudeau, but you found a way for us to travel through CHW in a very unique way. And I read through it, it looks like a lot of fun. Tell us about it.
We are going to be having a virtual Jewish tour of South America. We will be covering 4 different countries: Uruguay, Peru, Brazil, and Argentina. I have done a travel series before with CHW, and they are wonderful. You get to really see the country. You get a guide that is very knowledgeable and local. And the way it is shot, you really feel like you're there, so you don't feel like you're missing out. So it will run from February the 10th to March 24th on 4 different Wednesday evenings. And if you're looking for something to do and a way to learn something that you don't know already, this is a great opportunity. And the series will be $100. And individual pricing is available, but we're trying to really promote it as a series.
Great thinking outside the box. Now, of course, we've all been to Israel. It's been a long time since I've been there. But Julie, I have to ask you, how has your family been during COVID-19? Did you get the vaccine yet? And what's going on there? Because we hear the numbers are skyrocketing despite all the vaccine and everything like that.
It's crazy. It's all a bit crazy. I have gotten my first shot of the vaccine last week, as did my husband. They've now opened up the vaccines for 11th and 12th graders also, so they can take their mandatory exams. So my son, who's in 11th grade, is going to get his tomorrow, before his grandparents in the States are getting theirs.
Wow.
We actually had a crazy few weeks because it was my daughter's bat mitzvah last week.
Mazel tov.
2 days, thank you. 2 days before the bat mitzvah, my oldest son was tested positive for COVID.
Ooh.
He had a very mild case, thank God. But it kind of threw all of our plans even more up in the air. So yeah, cases are really skyrocketing here. They think it's because of the different mutations. So that it's really in a battle to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
Sounds like a good book. Maybe some kind of book about an individual and how they had, because you know what, there's going to be a lot of COVID books coming out, I think, from authors. There's so many stories out there, so don't discount it. You could be speaking to CHW next year about how, you know, COVID and how John Doe survived COVID. I don't know, or Bibi Netanyahu when he has his annual election, something like that. So Alanna, I want to ask you, going to Israel, CHW, how has CHW been doing in Israel themselves? How have they been up? Because you know, Julie just told us how dangerous it is out there. How have they been doing?
For sure. So a lot of our schools had to switch to online learning, although some of our schools are residential. So I guess they were in their own bubble, but our schools went to online learning. The daycare centers, one of which, the Clara Belinsky Daycare Center, which is the Montreal Daycare Center, is located on site at the Shamir Medical Center. So that one kept running because they're servicing the staff who are working in the hospital, and the daycare center is watching their kids. And so, I mean, they've been able to move forward. Obviously, we've done fundraisers for COVID supplies, and we're trying our best to keep everything moving. But, you know, as with everything, you know, funds are limited, and everyone's looking to, you know, we're trying to do the best we can to raise money for our projects, for our commitments.
Yes. Susan, I think all the organizations have their loyal members. Have the CHW membership been loyal? Is there a buzz? Are they excited about these programs? Is registration looking good for everything?
I think we're doing very well in this pandemic. I think we have brought a lot of new people onto our mailing list, and they're looking at the website, seeing what we're offering, signing up more than once. And that's very encouraging to us because our outreach before was limited to word of mouth. And this has really brought people, we're going into people's homes, and I think they like what they see, and the success rate's been quite good, actually.
Terrific. Julie, Julie, the webinars that you're having, how have you appreciated the fact that you can do these online? And I presume this is something that not only is working, we see an example where you're going to be in Montreal, so to speak, but it's something in the future where you may not even have to leave your study. You'll be able to offer your services. We've learned a lot during this pandemic.
Yeah, I was already kind of well set up to do book group talks over Zoom before the pandemic hit, because I'm based in Israel, but most of my reading audience is abroad. So I had done a few already online, but and I had some scheduled, but I had a bunch more over the last year. And I actually had started a literary series in my own hometown of Modi'in, Israel. It's right near the airport. And I was bringing in local Israel-based authors to speak to the large English population that we have here in Modi'in. And we had about 3 in-person events. And when the pandemic hit, we went virtual completely. And so now we've had authors from all over the world and audiences from all over the world. I had one last night, and we had 2 authors based in the States, one in Florida and one in New York, and one author based here. And we had like 75 people online. So that's been kind of a silver lining of the pandemic, is that this, at least the literary series I've been running, has grown tremendously.
Terrific. Alanna, how does someone sign up for this lecture? What's the cost? And if you have any other closing words you want to share that maybe something we didn't cover, go ahead.
For sure. So I just wanted to say that it's actually been a beautiful thing with everything being on Zoom, because with our travel series, we have registrants from across the country, which has been really great because we're able reach out to everyone. But so all of our stuff is either on our website, chw.ca, and then there's a link for the Montreal Center, or on our Facebook page, which is CHW Montreal, or even our Instagram, CHW Montreal. So you can register for all of the programs on any of those platforms. And old school works too. You can always call me. So the office, you can always call at the office.
Okay, and is there any programming coming up that we didn't touch upon?
I'd like to mention one if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Every year, one of our biggest fundraisers was to sell 500 Passover baskets. And that was a big project. Last year, with the pandemic, we were shut down. We weren't able to do it. We reached out to our 500 people and we asked if it would be okay if we sent a beautiful card in lieu of the basket for the same money that we would have spent. And everybody said yes. And we sold out. This year, we didn't feel it was right to do that, since every organization is really grabbing people to try to meet their financial commitments. So we have come up, this is hot off the press, literally hot off the press. We have a flyer that will be posted soon. I'll just tell you what it is. We are going to be offering a double-stemmed orchid in a ceramic pot delivered to your house prior to Pesach. It's 5 inches. It's a beautiful one. And we've worked with a local florist, so we know the quality is excellent and the price is far less than it would be. We're going to be charging $54. We've committed on a little bit of a less quantity because we're afraid of the 500, but we've already, as I go on to this podcast, we have close to 100 sold.
Fantastic.
So I think it's important that if people are interested, they look out. We will try to order more, but our deadline will be coming up. But let me show you. You can see a little picture.
Very pretty.
It is pretty.
Well,
And
you're all
I
thinking.
think it's really nice to receive that to your house.
Yes,
And I think Seders will be virtual. People will be staying home.
that's right. Who
And
could
a
believe
lot of
2 years in a
people
row?
shut in, and I think this is one perk me up. A flower is always something nice to receive.
Yeah,
So
very good
we're really
idea.
excited about it. Thank you for letting us
My
share.
pleasure. It was great to get an update from CHW. Everybody be safe, and we will certainly stay in touch in the weeks and months ahead. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.